Welcome to episode 1 of Wicca and Witchcraft for Dummies. So we're going to go through each chapter one by one. I am going to read points out of the book and then relate it to my personal experience. So I'm not going to read it everything, but just to give you a basic idea and understanding. There is a beginning part here that the author wrote that I really think is significant. The author of this book is Diane Smith, and here's what she says. She says, "I didn't write the book in an effort to convert anyone, but rather to dispel false stereotypes and to learn the facts and share the facts about the real Wicca and witchcraft. First and foremost, Wicca is a spiritual path of personal discovery and experience of the divine. From deity, Wiccans receive wisdom, strength, solace, and surprising synchronicities. The way that Wiccans perceive or experience deity is unique to each individual. But for most, seeking relationship or union with the divine is the heart of Wicca." So yes, every Wiccan can practice differently. There's no one set of rules. There's no one set of guidelines. There's no people in charge. There's no hierarchy system. You are free to believe what you want to believe. It's just that you believe in a higher power. I will finish the rest of her quote. "Nature flows from deity. Wiccan ritual and celebration are timed to the rhythms and cycles of the natural world, especially the Earth's journey around the sun and the moon's passage around the Earth. The divine energy and the web of life are what real Wicca and witchcraft are all about." So you will notice a lot of similarities over time between Wicca, witchcraft, indigenous populations, Nordic religions, Icelandic history. There's a lot of different religions that come together, but each of those religions has different points that surface within Wicca. So you will often hear something in Wicca and say, well, I thought they practiced that in such and such. You're right, they probably do. And it's all been pulled together because you have to remember history comes from people telling verbal stories, right? It's like the telephone game. So, a story gets told and to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, and that information gets changed or warped over time. And with Wicca, it's more that we've picked up on the consistence. The pieces of history and fact and nature and tides and weather and all of those things, we use those as a collective, and we move people forward by teaching, whereas a lot of these other religions have been moved forward not by teaching but by forced storytelling, if that makes any sense. So I'll get back to a couple points she makes. Wicca is a spiritual path of personal discovery and communication with deity. Each Wiccan decides what to believe and how to practice. That is absolutely true. So you might see another witch on TikTok saying that they believe differently than me. That's okay. They are allowed to believe how they believe. I am giving you things from my perspective. Wicca does not have a doctrine or a holy book that Wiccans must follow. Absolutely correct. We do not. There is no doctrine. There is no rules. Wicca does not have leaders who require that people worship or live a certain way. There's no central authority or hierarchy or clergy that decides who is legit and who is legitimately not Wiccan. So that actually goes for anybody on this app who will try to come at me and be like, well, you're not a real Wiccan because ABC. Every Wiccan believes their own beliefs. Every Wiccan practices their own way. There is no right or wrong way to practice it because there are no rules. That's the whole point. Now, just as I respect the fact that another witch may practice differently than me, I also respect, for example, if you are a Christian. If I sit at your dinner table, I will sit with you and I will say grace with you. Not because I believe what I am saying, not because I believe in the prayer that I'm giving, because I don't. My beliefs haven't changed. If I say grace at your dinner table, it's to respect your beliefs. It's to be respectful of the fact that your God brings you joy, brings you peace. And if that's what your God does for you, then I will support you believing in that God. But when you use that God in a negative manner or use him as a shield to do negative things towards people with different human rights abuses, negative energy, shaming, all those types of things, then that's what I don't support. I know many Christian people out there who are wonderful, caring, loving people. Do I agree with their beliefs? No, but their beliefs have never shown harm or hurt to anyone in my family. They've been more than kind. They've been generous and giving to their community. If that's what their God does for them, I will say grace at their table. I will sit in their church during their wedding. Yes, I'm Wiccan and I don't believe in what they believe in, but that doesn't mean I don't respect that they believe it. And I respect that of all people, of all religions, whether I agree with that religion or not. It's not up to me. It's not up to me to choose for you what you should believe in. You should be able to choose for yourself. And Wicca does not recruit people. We don't get you to come in and learn because we want you to be part of our cult. We actually don't recruit at all. In order for me to get teachings from my teacher, I had to ask her 3 times. I had to verbally ask her, then I had to ask her a formal way in a circle, and then I had to write it down and ask her for teachings. Because she is not allowed to just come out and start indoctrinating people, which is the word they always like to use. I had to ask her for teachings. So we take it very seriously. So a couple more quick points. There is no central organization that collects records about practices of Wicca. It's just a matter of history, different pockets around the world. That's all you're going to get. I am going to give you a bit of advice. Do not jump in and try to perform ritual or especially to work magic without first reading about Wiccan beliefs and ethics. I highly suggest that. If you're the type of person that wants to go out there and play with a Ouija board and do all sorts of crazy things and cast spells and hexes, I highly advise you not to do that. That is extremely dangerous and can get you into trouble. True Wiccans do not participate in dark magic. So we're going to define what we call the divine. Nearly all Wiccans believe in some form of a creative being. However, they have different ideas about the nature of the divine. Deity may be the goddess and God in perfect duality. She may be the primal great goddess that is the source of all life, often the moon goddess. The divine may be the higher self or a symbol emerging from the unconscious mind. Some Wiccans believe that deity takes many forms or has many aspects. I will clarify that more on my belief system as we move forward because I know they get into it specifically and I don't want to jump ahead too far. So let's define paganism, witchcraft, and Wicca. Pagan originally meant peasant or country dweller. Pagan was a term of derision, like the word hick. Heathen meant a person who lived in the heaths, which is an open wasteland covered in heather, low shrubs, and so on. Paganism today is a collective or umbrella term that encompasses any of the pre-Christian religions and cultures. It usually refers to a nature religion that defines a deity as immanent. Immanence means that the divine energy is manifest in nature. Deity is right here, right now, and all present in the world. Pagan also refers to indigenous or tribal religions and cultures. Historically, pagans and heathens were the rural folk who were the last to be converted to Christianity. Just a quick historical fact, Wicca for the purposes of this book is a continuation, a revival, or a recreation of pre-Christian, primarily European, nature religion or spirituality. Wicca is a type or sect of witchcraft. Although Wicca has its roots in ancient spirituality, the modern Wiccan revival began in the 1950s. So you'll hear, paganism converted to this, to that, to neo-Wicca. Like there's so many terms. Most Wiccans will agree with the following definitions. Wicca is a continuation of a very old religion that has been passed down through families and groups since ancient times. Yes. Wicca is a return to or a revival of an old, even ancient form of religion. Because not a great deal is known about the original beliefs and practices, contemporary Wiccans must add to the old tradition. Correct, because all of their information was taken care of when they were persecuted. Nobody wanted to know their information, so they burned all their Book of Shadows, they burned all their spell books, they burned all their potions, they burned all of it. Wicca is a new form of spirituality that recreates some very old practices and ideas. The modern form of Wicca began in the 1950s. Very put simply, Wiccans generally accept 2 basic principles: a belief in an immanent deity. A Wiccan's main spiritual goal is to grow in his or her relationship with divinity. Almost all Wiccans believe in a creative being. Many, but not all Wiccans honor deity in both the male and female aspects, the goddess and the god. Most Wiccans believe that the divine is immanent in the world, meaning that deity is right here, right now, and all present in the world. People come from and are part of the divine energy, and deity is within everyone. I'll have to do an introduction part 2 to finish this one off.